So this video is going to go over the next part of our unit. So the first thing we did was introduced our checking accounts and basics that go along with checking accounts last week. So now this week we're going to kind of look at savings accounts and other accounts where you earn interest and how to calculate the amount of interest you're earning, as well as then your total amount you have in your accounts. So there's a couple different formulas we can work with, or that we're going to work with. And so the first one is simple interest formula, and that is I equals PRT. Okay. And our compound interest is going to be A equals P times 1 plus R over N to the NT power. Okay. So again, these are the two formulas we're going to work with. And so you'll notice on the other side of your foldable that there's places to fill these in. So A is what we call our annual yield. Whoops, I can't spell the word yield. Let's try it again. So annual yield, or you can think of that as the account balance. Okay. And I stands for interest earned. P is your principal. So this is always the starting amount of your account. R is your interest rate. And you do want to make sure that when you're using the formulas that you do change to a decimal. T is time, and that's always in years. And then N is the number of times compounded per year. And so how it's compounded are some of the words that we've seen before, and those are monthly, so we know there's 12 months in a year. Quarterly, there would be 4 quarters in a year. Semi-annually happens twice a year. Weekly, we have 52 weeks in a year. Daily, there's 365. And then I know this one's not on there, but go ahead and add annually. And so that would be 1 time a year. Okay. So as we go through these examples, you'll see these words and we'll use these formulas. So the first example is a simple interest, and I will specify so that way you know which formula. So since it is simple, we're going to use the I equals PRT. So we just need to pick out all those different values from the problem. So P is our principal, so what's the starting amount? That is $2,000. So P is going to be 2,000. R is going to be your interest rate. So right here, interest of 3%. So 3%. So I'm going to go change that. That's going to be 0.03. And then T is time. So right here where it says for 3 years. So 3 years. So plug that in. So I is going to be 2,000 times 0.03 times 3. So that's $180 interest to pay back on that $2,000 loan. So that's the amount of interest he would have to pay. And then actually if we add that together, so he would actually end up paying $2,180. That's the total amount paid on the loan. So the amount you pay back is the interest plus your principal. Okay. Alright, next we'll use our compound interest formula. So that one is the A equals P times 1 plus R over N to the NT power. So again, because we're using the formula, go ahead and plug in, or identify what the values are and then plug it in. So P is going to be $15,000. 1 is the number 1. R is 2.8%, so I'm going to change that. So that's going to be 0.028. T is 5 years, so T is 5. And then, so again, here's 15,000, our interest rate, and 5 years. And then we need to know N, and that's the number of times it's compounded. So it's always right here, that phrase compounded. So compounded annually, so N equals 1. So again, I'm just going to plug all that into the formula. So A equals 15,000 times 1 plus 0.028 divided by 1 to the 1 times 5 power. Now again, just a calculator note, if you are going to type this in, which I know you are going to type this in your calculator, either do this multiplication in your head and then type it in as the exponent, or make sure you use parentheses when you're typing that in to make sure that your exponent is N times T. That's usually sometimes a calculation error I see made. So I'm just going to plug that in to the calculator. So 15,000 times 1 plus 0.028, and all of that is to the 5th power. So 17,220.94. Since we are dealing with money, remember you want to round 2 decimals. Okay. Now, again, this is the total amount. This is the total in the account. Sorry, it's kind of sloppy. Total in the account after 5 years. Now, if I did ask you for the amount of interest earned, then I'm going to take that amount and I'm going to subtract the $15,000 that I started with. So $2,220.94. This would be the total interest earned. So even though the question doesn't ask, I am adding that in there so you know. That's how you would figure out. So if I just ask how much interest you earn over the course of this case, 5 years, this is how you can figure it out. You would take the amount, subtract out the principal, and that's going to give you your total interest earned in 5 years. Okay. All right, next one. I have Olga. Her uncle puts $2,000 in an account. That's locked into a 4.75 interest rate, compounded monthly. How much will Olga have in her account when she turns 18? So how much money will she have? So very similar to that last question. Oops, sorry about that. So we want to use the same formula. And again, it doesn't say that, but anytime you see this phrase, compounded a certain number of times, you know where it's going to be the compounded interest formula. So we're going to start with P, $2,000. R, 4.75, so I'm going to change that, 0.475. N, since it is compounded monthly, that means N is 12. And then T, she was 16, she's now 18, so T will be 2 because it's 2 years. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and plug that in. So A equals 2,000, 1 plus 0.0475 divided by 12, and again to the 12 times 2 power. So how much money will she have? So that's going to be, plug that in, 2,000 times 1 plus 0.0475 divided by 12. And all that is to the 12 times 2 power. So she has $2,198.91. So how much interest did she earn? So again, you take that total amount, so the $2,198.91, subtract out the $2,000 that was the account started with, so $198.91. This is the total interest earned. In 2 years. And again, this is the total amount. This is the total amount in the account. After 2 years. Okay. So hopefully these explanations help, and I'll be back if you go to the next video. That one shows the practice problems worked out again, so you have a few more examples of using both of these formulas in your notes.